I was 73 years old, and I lived in a house that felt too quiet sometimes. I wanted you to pause whatever task occupied your hands, because what I discovered was not common knowledge among women like us in this country. You did not require a husband to be complete. I knew that sounded severe, perhaps even unkind to those who hope for companionship, but you remained with me because by the conclusion, you understood something vital about your own life and your future. You finally observed what most women notice only when it was too late and their energy was completely gone. There were 5 hard realities about seeking a partner after 70. And the final one was the psychological cage that kept women trapped in situations that exhausted them completely. Once you saw it, you could not unsee it. I clarified my position clearly. I was not opposed to love. I was not opposed to company. What I opposed was you sacrificing your tranquility, your health, and your dignity just to say you had a man in your life. There was a distinction between a partner and a project, between affection and obligation. After 70, you had already contributed enough to others. So you listen to these 5 reasons carefully. Number 5, the partner role erased your sanctuary. At your age, the concept of sharing a home did not suit who you were anymore. It sounded practical, almost logical to outsiders, but your spirit had survived storms, relocation, solitude, and healing. The issue was this: the title husband came with expectations, and those expectations erased your boundaries completely. That was the trap, was it not? I knew a woman named Susan, early 70s. Her partner insisted on moving into her home. He said it made sense financially for both of them. He wanted her space, her routine, her quiet mornings, but he never respected her need for solitude. When she asked for an hour alone in her study, he would say, "Why hide away? We are together now." That was his way of claiming ownership forever. No privacy, no retreat, no silence. Susan diminished herself to fit his presence. She stopped reading in her nook. She stopped meditating in the living room. She told me he felt rejected if she closed the door. He did not like boundaries. He said, "I am cold." Many men wanted access to you, not the sacred woman you had become. And the husband label allowed that intrusion. Such a loss, such a profound loss of who she was. You asked yourself in your last arrangement, could you close the door, or did you have to stay available just to keep him happy? Number 4, your physical resilience was not infinite. After 70, your body was no longer forgiving. Every exertion had a consequence that lasted longer than before. A partner could easily become a physical burden without you realizing it. No assistance, no relief, no recovery time for you. I knew a woman named Martha. She met a man in his 70s through a community group. At first, he seemed robust and active. He said he wanted to travel with her to see the country. Slowly, she became his physical aid. He needed help with stairs. He needed rides to appointments. He needed meals prepared because his diet was restricted by doctors. One day I asked her, "When you finish helping him, do you feel rested or drained?" She wept openly. "Always drained. But I feel guilty if I don't help." That was how it worked. Your compassion became a leash around your neck. Compassion, it could be a gift or a weight, and it was not just physical labor. Meeting new men meant exposing yourself to illnesses you did not need when your immune system was weaker than before. You worked decades to have your strength back. Did this partner bring vitality or fatigue, wellness or worry? Number 3, a partner could isolate you from your tribe. By 70, you were not just aging, you were deepening into yourself. Many women finally cultivated friendships beyond family obligations and work duties. You joined groups. You traveled with friends. Your community was expanding significantly. Yes, expanding. That was the correct term for what happened. But here was where relationships fractured unexpectedly. Your community threatened his centrality in your life. I knew a woman who found her sisterhood after divorce. She had lunches, trips, late-night calls with women who knew her history. She met a man who loved her until she prioritized her friends over him. As she became more connected and supported by them, he grew jealous and insecure. He said, "You spend too much time with them. Now you neglect me." He did not want your community. He wanted your exclusivity and attention. When you took on a partner, especially one insecure, you started distancing yourself again. You missed gatherings, you declined trips, you stopped connecting because you felt loyal to him. You isolated at his demand. And that was such a sorrow, such a deep sorrow to watch. This was one of the silent tragedies, women on the verge of belonging, choosing a man over their sisters. You asked yourself, if I never had a partner again, how much could I connect with others? Number 2, the legacy complications were heavier than you imagined legally and familially. By 70, you had already built an estate over a lifetime. Children, properties, savings, memories. You understood everything had a lineage that mattered. Many senior women underestimated the complication of a new partner entering this mix. It showed up subtly first. Questions about wills, changes to beneficiaries, awkward dinners with stepchildren. You adjusted your plans around his children. You stayed silent because he wanted peace in the family. You spent money on his needs that disrupted your budget significantly. Then bigger risks, merging accounts, changing titles, inviting him into your will because his situation was unstable. Some women told me he promised to leave eventually when he found a place. 5 years later, he was still there claiming rights to the home. But I felt bad contesting him legally. You did not spend decades building your legacy just to subsidize a man's heirs. No, you did not work that hard for this outcome. And it was not only money, it was familial peace. Sharing your history with someone who conflicted with your children was expensive emotionally. You woke up stressed, not from age, from legal anxiety. Your peace of mind was your greatest asset. Everything you allowed should protect it, not diminish it. Number 1, you deserve deep silence, not constant noise. Here was the hard reality. Some men sought senior women not because they valued your history, but because they assumed you would fill the void and quiet their fears. They believed you were afraid of the quiet moments. They counted on that panic. They relied on the narrative that said at your age you should be thankful someone spoke to you daily. Let me say this clearly. That narrative was a falsehood, a complete falsehood. Did you hear me? If you accepted a partner out of fear of silence, you trained your brain to believe your own thoughts were too loud to handle. You told yourself you were empty without male conversation, and every time he disappointed you, but you stayed. This was the cage. You confused constant chatter with real connection. You traded your need for stillness and reflection for noise. a comment here, an argument there, a demand when he was bored. I knew a woman who stayed with a man for years, even though he said, "I need constant attention." She kept hoping he would settle down. She said, "He does not respect my quiet, but I am scared if I leave it will be too silent." I asked her, "What if your purpose now was not to be heard by a man, but to finally hear yourself?" She went silent, then whispered, "No one ever offered that to me." Ah, that broke my heart. It truly did. You deserved love that honored your silence, not a man who filled the room because he was insecure or needed an audience. When you stopped accepting the role of his audience, his nurse or his secretary, you freed your spirit for something higher, deep contemplation, nature, spiritual stillness, or maybe a truly equal companion. The real question was not, should I have a partner? The real question was, what was the highest form of peace for who I was, who I had become? If the answer was a calm, quiet life with no romantic partner, that was wisdom, not defeat. If someday a man appeared who honored silence, respected space, supported community, and did not need nursing, choose from strength, not panic. But until then, you were allowed to say no. You were allowed to guard your spirit like a holy thing it was. Let me bring this together. Number 5, the partner role erased your sanctuary. Number 4, your physical resilience was not infinite. Number 3, a partner isolated you from your tribe. Number 2, the legacy complications were heavier than you imagined. And number 1, you deserve deep silence, not constant noise born from fear. Here was what I wanted you to do. Sit quietly and ask, if I loved myself the way I wished a man would, what would I stop tolerating then? Would you stop waiting for calls, stop making excuses, stop sacrificing your quiet? You were not here to fill a man's empty hours. You were here to live your most honest, peaceful life. You had given enough. From now on, any man was a bonus, not a necessity. And if no man came, you were still whole, still worthy, still deeply lovable. Yes, you were lovable just as you were. Now tell me, had you ever stayed out of fear? Dropped your answer below, liked this video, shared it, subscribed for more truth.